how was your celebration of the 8th of March? Here was amazing. Can you see the images? Oh, that was absolutely brilliant, excellent. And that was the miracle of the Spanish women, the Galician women in this case, the miracle of the 8th of March. Why? Well, because the conservatives, the Popular Party and the ultra-right Ciudadanos and UPyD were against the women's strike. And suddenly, after the 8th of March and these images, wow, the Popular Party, Ciudadanos, UPyD and others are now feminist. Oh, can you believe it? This is just amazing. Well, everyone is now feminist, except the public Spanish television. That the public Spanish television are just feminine because they cannot say the word feminist during their reports. Bias. Bias is not just a problem, it's not only a problem of the BBC, it's a problem, it's a global problem. And the use of the language is, we have to follow very well, we have to check what kind of language they use. And speaking about language, I want you to watch this.
And what John Mahaffey meant was you had to be careful in difficult circumstances. You had to make sure that you did not make those circumstances worse, and that you tried to use accurate and careful language to describe where you were in order that you might make some progress. And I say that because I am concerned at the language that has come particularly from the Tory front bench today, and also from some of the backbenchers. And I want to just make clear the difficulties that are being caused by that, and the inaccuracy that's within it. Ruth Davidson said over the weekend in an interview on television, I was on the subsequent interview, I, however, was in a snowstorm. Ruth Davidson, I think, was indoors during the interview. She said that the SNP government had rammed through emergency legislation. This chamber voted 86 to 27 in a democratic vote. You cannot use those words accurately. Secondly, Rachel Hamilton said that rushed legislation was always bad legislation and pointed to the example of the Land Reform Bill. Well, I was on the committee of the Land Reform Bill. There were 2 years of consultation, and then 9 months between introduction and royal assent. Now, I understand that Rachel Hamilton does not like the Land Reform Bill. She does not like land reform, like many of those sitting round her. They feel threatened by land reform. I wonder why. But the reality is that was not a rushed piece of legislation. And then we've actually seen other examples here. Adam Tompkins' account of this morning's meeting of the committee and the evidence of the Law Society, I think, at the very least, could be challenged. And it would be challenged simply by looking at the video of that evidence being given, because there was a very constructive discussion on a whole range of issues. But also, there was other evidence given. It wasn't simply the Law Society turning up and saying, woe is me. There were many discussions. Let's take, for example, Section 5 on general principles and the Charter. The bill has made clear steps to improve the position in the UK bill, keeping the Charter in Scots law. And indeed, in other evidence, in exactly that same session, Professor Aileen McHarg very clearly pointed out that effective remedies to the problems that were raised by Professor Tompkins are within the bill. So presenting these issues in the accurate way is extremely important. And I suppose the nadir we got to, although I do regret Donald Cameron's use of language, the word disgrace, the description of the Liberal Democrats as pious, that doesn't help us trying to discuss this carefully. And the nadir was, of course, Mr. Golden, who used the word illegal, who used the words wildcat legislation. Strangely enough, words that occurred in a press release from Mr. Cameron earlier today. Clearly, there has been some collusion on the choice of words. This is not illegal. The legislation creates exactly the circumstances and anticipates the circumstances we are in. There are remedies for those circumstances. So I think it is really important to make that point clear. Phrases do make history.
The result of the vote on motion 10817 in the name of Michael Russell is yes 94, no 30. There were no abstentions. The motion is therefore agreed. The result of the vote on motion 10784 in the name of Derek Mackay is yes 94, no 30. There were no abstentions. The motion is therefore agreed.
Indeed, the continuity bill was on the Spanish press. Scotland and Wales were on the Spanish press. And I think it's very, very, very important to get well informed, to keep yourself well informed. I think you can follow the debates on the Scottish Parliament. Of course, they have a lot of videos on YouTube. They are active on Facebook, live streaming, but you also have a lot of platforms such as Wins Over Scotland, We Ginger Dog, Common Space, Bella Caledonia, Truly Scottish, Broadcasting Scotland, Independence Live. You have a lot of platforms where you can get properly information. The devolution debate is all over the world, I think. It's all over Europe, at least. Here in Spain, we're having problems with the Basque Country and Catalonia, and here in Galicia, something is starting to be in the atmosphere. More news, oh yes.
To me, there's two main strands that cause this main issue. There's the structural side and there's the cultural side of things. And the structural side, to deal with that one first, brings me back actually to my first tutorial at university where we were asked why women were still unequal. And I said that the problem begins with how and when our society created the structures that we still use today.
In the Spanish media was also Mary Black speech. The speech about the abuse that she has been suffering for months since she became a MP. We have to watch our language and social media. That's all for now. I'll see you very soon. And let me just announce an interview with Peter A. Bale. I'm really looking forward to interview him, also Phantom Power, but I have some more surprises and I'll tell you very soon about it. Bye.